It's good to see you again, Jesse Walzak.
Nice
Here
to see you again.
is our brochure and business cards. Sorry your partner couldn't make it. That is for her in case she is still interested.
Hi, Kayla Litsky, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Hello, nice to see you again, Crystal.
I'm Sarp, nice to see you
Nice to see
again.
you again.
Good evening, Ms. Boyer. We are pleased to be here tonight to present our implementation plan for the Little Libraries. As you may recall, CKSJ construction values quality, sustainability, and efficiency. We will be discussing our implementation plan as well as some design considerations, some phasing, community survey we conducted, as well as the implementation schedule. Here's our president, Jesse, to talk about the community survey.
Thank you, Crystal. Well, first of all, when we started off with this idea, we did not know how to follow through with this. So we thought we would go with who this is intended for. We would go ask the community. So throughout the entire Milwaukee County, we mailed all the residents a survey that they could either fill out by hand and mail back to us, or there was a link to our website on there, which they could do it online, faster, for free. Some of the questions that we asked on the survey were, do you think like a mini library would be good for your neighborhood? And if so, would you like to see one, or how many? Along with, were there any school districts in your area, and libraries? So once we got all that information, we were able to formulate and put it into 3 different phrases, which Sarp will talk about because he set all of this up.
Thank you, Jesse. When we first received the data from the surveys, we started mapping them on our city map, as you can see. And the orange area shows that we got the most response and it has high population since it's downtown. And blue area is a little more suburbs, but we received little to no response. We got really less. And the green areas actually are further away than blue areas, show us the places that were actually high response rate, but the population was less. So we started plotting out, and these areas, central locations are libraries and schools, so they can be integrated together. And we started seeing an image as we plotted these on. Mrs. Boyer, do you know what's the shape of the Paris look like?
The shape of Paris,
Yes, from the top side map view.
a long rectangle.
Yes, it is similar, but people want to call it a snail with a twist spiral shape.
Okay.
So when we started plotting these, it actually started looking like half of the Paris. Paris is plotted around the river. It started from a tiny little part from the river, and then they started building the city little by little around the river, and it went bigger and bigger, and it became the Paris as we know right now. And when we started plotting this map, we saw the same image. It was little like this, and then this. It was half of Paris. So we said, wow, we can actually implement this for how we can install all the libraries. That's why we thought this phasing plan for the implementation would work perfectly. And for phase 1 orange phase, we want to say it is a control phase. Control phase, since we had lots of population and we had a lot of response from them, so we thought it would be a good idea to start from them, since we know that it will succeed. People want it, and it's not like we just are forcing them to use it. So we thought it would be easy for people to get used to it and see how it works. And for the blue phase, we want to call it the experimental phase. These areas, we really didn't get any responses, but we believe that these areas are the ones who actually can make use of the mini libraries, since there are less schools and the levels of schools are a little lower level compared to the other areas we gather information from. So we thought kids there could use it to improve themselves, and by having lots of mini libraries around, they could really use this and it would improve the neighborhood as well. And for the green areas, we want to call the distribution phase, which we will be used to distributing these and installing, so it will be an easier thing to do after this, since we are used to it. And now I would like to pass it to Kaylee to talk about the design.
Alright, here's a half scale model of our main design. As you can see, the top is a dome shape and there are several windows around here. It's based off of Michelangelo and his work on St. Peter's Basilica and also his Laurentian Library. The dome is obviously from St. Peter's Basilica, and then the windows on the side and on the back are based off of the Laurentian Library. And as you can see in Latin, it says excipe librum, librum relinquere. That means take a book, leave a book. So it's kind of educational. I don't expect children to be learning Latin off of this, but it's interesting. And we decided on the dome shape because it's very iconic. When we start putting these up around the city of Milwaukee, people will say, oh, those are the free little libraries that the city is putting up. Let's go check it out. So we wanted kind of an iconic design to do this. And then also, you can see that the windows are see-through, so you can see what kind of books are in there, how many books are in there, kind of gauging interest without having really to go into the model. And then I will also talk about our first design consideration. We thought about placing some of these libraries in about a half-mile radius of actual libraries. And we decided on this because, you know, libraries have old books that they may not need anymore, and so one option that they would have is to put them into our little free libraries and help out the community that way. So to talk about our second design consideration, here's Crystal.
Thank you, Kaylee. Besides implementing little libraries into libraries, we are also considering installing them by nearby schools. As you can see in the phasing map, we will put about 50 little libraries at each phase. All the schools may or may not have a library inside already, but if they can't, I think we all think that all the children, students can benefit from the little libraries. If they have no access to one at their school, they could go to a nearby school and you know, have easier access to books. Now to talk about the next consideration, here's Sai.
When we first saw this project being made in lots of different areas of the United States, we thought it was a little simple. And we thought, what we could do to improve this? And then Kaylee came up with this beautiful design that would match the city of Milwaukee and show how attractive can a mini library be. It's not just a wooden plank that will sit around there. It's flashy and it actually shows that there's a mini library there. So we thought this would change a lot for us and it would be really different compared to other starter cities. But of course, for our suburban areas, it might be a little flashy. So as you can see in our brochure, there are our different models of the mini libraries. Those are simple and it matches the suburban areas a little more. We use flashy colors so it'll stand out more and you can see it more easily. That way we can have different design for different areas, which one requires more, but for the downtown, we really believe this design will show how mini libraries can be. And now I would like to pass it to Jesse.
Thank you, sir. Now, once all of these mini libraries are in place, there are some other considerations to think of, such as fixing, maintaining, and expanding. As the president of CKSJ, our family would like to volunteer to fix, maintain, and expand all these libraries to no expense for the city. What we would do is roughly every week or two, we would go and repair any damages that would have been done to any mini libraries. And it could be, after a couple days if there is an incident report or anything, but typically 1 to 2 weeks. And one idea we had for expanding the libraries is obviously once these are installed, there are going to be some libraries that are just like packed full of books. Because some people in those neighborhoods would be like really generous. But there are other neighborhoods where some libraries would have very little. So what we thought we could do is have a drop box. So next to the library, behind it, just anywhere around it, will be a box where you could drop off any book if your library is overfull. Then in the week or two that we will go around to maintain it or check it out, we will check all those drop boxes and we will move the books to libraries that will need them that are, lacking in the book area. So to go on to the schedule of how everything is going to work, I would like to hand it off to Crystal.
Thank you, Jesse. We plan on constructing these little free mini libraries. During the summer of 2015, we will go through phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. As you see in the brochure, we included some dates. We begin, as I mentioned, in the summer. They are going to be a month apart between each phase. We plan on constructing 150 total little free libraries by the end of year 1. To conclude this presentation, Sark.
We started seeing these libraries getting attached on whole country, and it's really not quite popular yet, but we can see the potential. We can see how can help the community, how can develop those small neighborhoods that require actually books. So we really want to be a part of it. This is not just about business. We really want to build up something special for the country. So we believe that we are the company that will be able to execute this project perfectly. If you have any questions, please let us know.
I think you guys might have answered all of my questions, so.
Well, if there are any more questions that you could think of, you have our business cards along with the QR codes on the back of the flyers. If you want to hand those out to the new company.
Thank you. Here's good, I don't have much.